Hi guys, welcome back to the Dictate the Game podcast. I'm your host, Dom. This is episode number 19. There's just three of us this week, and I'm joined by Ryan, our manager and CEO.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Ryan. And I'm also joined by FM Tahiti, or Pelham.
All right, guys.
And we're just having a chill. We lost Paul at the last second. I think one of his kids woke up.
Yeah,
right?
some woke up, yeah.
So we let him off. We let him have a night off and just, look after him whilst we're going to have a pretty chilled out one. We're just going to talk about kind of what's been going on the site. And we're also going to talk about who are some of our favourite other creators that we like looking at. And hopefully that will encourage you guys to go and check them out as well. And also we kind of want them to plug our stuff as well. So that's kind of why we're doing it. Before we start, I just want to talk about, because this week, we are recording this in the week, but this week we had Ryan's piece. Ryan's piece was on, it was a guide, wasn't it? It was just a pretty standard Wonder Kid guide. Do you want to talk a bit about?
Yeah. Basically, I wrote a guide on how you can find Wonder Kids easily using three different methods. So the first method was filtering players by their media description to their site. So you can do that simply, which is in the guide. As well as that, you don't have to always look for Wonder Kids that way. You can also find like experienced wingers, like a strong defender and whatnot. So it's quite versatile in terms of what you can look for. Also did a sort of another method, which is just using the international youth teams, which is basically exactly what it says on the tin. But there is a way you can find players a little bit easier. Just after they've been called up, if you go onto the national teams before they're capped, you can usually sign these players at a lower fee because the reputation happen as a reputation boost for representing the national team. So I've always tried and do that. As soon as I get a notification that a few more players being called up, I always go on to some of the big sort of nations youth teams and see if there's any uncapped players at any of the levels and try and snap them up for lower, because at the end of the day, I don't have the time to filter through every single Brazil player, for example. So that's good. Pelham suggested going through the USA youth teams, which are sort of the academies, before they get put into the draft. So thank you for that. I was also filtering by release clauses. That's good, especially if you've got a big scouting network. You can your criteria is a lot bigger. That's something that's very, very effective, because it doesn't always have to be a player who's going to be your future. If you can pick up a player whose value's a couple of million and you sign it for 500k and sell them on in January, for example, you can make a hefty profit, especially if your club reputation's higher than the club you're buying from. Because if a player's being sold by Liverpool in comparison to, say, #United, the likelihood is the person who's selling the player from Liverpool are going to get a higher fee than someone in #, for example. And the final one of the methods I did was just searching previous Wonder Kids legends. So I went on to, as I was writing this, me and my friend have an online save, and he found a player called Cristiano Ronaldo who's insane, and he's
I've just seen him.
Yeah, he's so good. And I just quickly searched a couple of players. I was reading an article about Maradona. So I searched Maradona, and there's a guy called Diego Maradona, and although he's not amazing, he has a very low value and a low release clause as well. So yeah, that pretty much summarizes my article and what I wrote about. It's just nice to have various different methods to find Wonder Kids rather than just having one method and just a full article. And if you have sort of more content, people have different ways of sort of incorporating how they find players as well as how I find players.
I was going to say, because there was a bit of a incident in the Football Manager community. It doesn't happen often, to be fair. We don't have many, scuffles, but there was a couple of people saying that it was a bit of a cookie cutter guide.
I understand how people think, but if there's literally, I've four different methods on there, and one of the top method I used was the media description, but other people knew about this anyway, so I'm just sort of reiterating what people already know. And I've also added my own, because I don't know anyone who sorts by searching previous Wonder Kids. So I'd obviously, I'm obviously not going to copy people. Like, I wouldn't just
of course not.
because it's
We've
completely
not
different
just
anyway.
we've not just literally copy and pasted content. This is original content, but obviously, you know, there's only so many ways you can play the game. And I feel like a lot of people try and say, well, oh, that's basically the same thing that we've written. I mean, if you're being completely honest, loads of people copy a lot of our content, especially, you know, when we're talking about features for FM 2020. I remember going through a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we went through an article written by a very big, I think it was like Talk Sport or Give Me Sport or someone like that. And it had a list of about 5 or 6 things, and about 4 of them were things that I'd written about in my article. Just
Yeah,
kind of,
it is crazy, but
you know, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that actually, you know, it's quite a small community in the sense that there's not that much going on, and there's not, especially this time of year, you know, there's not really much to discuss that's new and different. Like when Football Manager 2020 comes out, I'm sure there'll be new roles, there'll be new ways to play, there'll be different parts of the game that we can all expand on, and people will go off in their different ways. You know, even like our writers will go off in different ways, and they'll talk about, you know, Guy will do the whole statistics and data route, and Pelham will probably do the same. You know, Ehor will do quite a lot of, you know, storytelling, and Luke will do the same. Whereas, yeah, you know, even within writers, we'll have a bit of overlap, but that's how the world works. You know, everyone's trying to sell the same thing. That's how, I think that's how advertising works, isn't it? Just
it's slightly different, but it's been perceived well. There's it's done well. I've had good feedback on it, and like Pelham said, he's never heard of the Wonder Kids Searching by Legends, because if you just look at Ronaldo, who's like absolutely insane. Like I'm just looking at the screenshot now, and there's 17 appearances, 11 goals and 7 assists, playing as an inside forward on the right or left.
Yeah, I'll try and put a picture of him in the podcast for this section,
because my friend bought him for 7K.
7K.
Yeah, this was 6 years ago, I believe, 5 years ago on the actual game, and then Porto bought him because his board sold him, and then as soon as he got promoted to the Premier League, he bought him back.
That's just incredible.
There's so many other players that my team's got, but his Ronaldo always stands out as sort of that one.
And also because of the name.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo, the Brazilian Cristiano Ronaldo. He played for Porto as well, which is a sort of homage
even weirder.
Ronaldo, yeah, crazy.
Pelham, were you going to say something then, or?
I'd never thought of doing it, but then there's these articles, isn't there, about, you know, have there's 600 people called Gary Lineker. Is it in Japan or in Brazil, where they've just been naming the kids after Gary Lineker?
That's crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're looking at some John Joe Shelby's and stuff like that in the future.
Oh no, I don't think there'll be any of them.
In FIFA, I don't know what it is these days, but what happens is when a player retires, that a regen is built for them rather than it being like a youth intake day. Where say I don't know, let's say Ronaldo retires in Italy, then what will happen is the year that he retires, then a Portuguese midfielder in the Italian leagues will be generated somewhere in Italy, so that it's quite easy to find. Like they're literally carbon copies, and they have the same like stats and everything. It's not like it's quite random. It's quite cookie cutter in that respect.
Yeah. So that's the old like champ manager system. That's the the regens, isn't
just it? Just FIFA will never evolve like Football Manager will.
No, it won't. It won't. But I mean, FIFA 20 is coming out soon. Are you guys going to get FIFA 20? We might as well talk about that very quickly.
Yep, I've booked 6 days off work for it.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Yep.
Interesting choice. Okay, so that was the first article this week. The second article was Ehor's piece. Ehor's piece was a Running with Wolves, which is not the Talking Wolves podcast, but we interviewed Dave, which was a great podcast. If you didn't check that out, that was really good fun. Me and Guy had a great talk with him. It's brilliant. But anyway, Running with Wolves, and he was talking about, just how much he's enjoying it. It's really nice to see an article about someone who's just enjoying the game. Like it really, like I don't mind it. Like a guides are great because if you're trying to find that information, then it's really good for just kind of, improving on the game. But someone just talking about, it was like the Marseille piece that FM Scrapbook wrote for us recently. It just really, revitalizes the interest in a save.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like, go on.
Yeah, I just think like everything that Ehor writes, he sort of like, he makes himself the club. If you just read any of his articles, it's not like you just like take over a club and manage them. He believes he is in that in Roma. He understands the rivalry, the history, and everything. And I think that sort of comes across in an article because he has so much passion. Because even developing, like, even the screenshots he's got here of us, all these Wonder Kids, and you can just tell like how involved he is with the actual series. Like he's got this he's got like a small section here saying this Roma's Wonder Kid conveyor belt, and some of them players are insane. But I feel like everything EO does is just amazing. Like how involved he makes the save. Like it's not like, say if I was to manage in Roma, I'd be like, right, Roma, yeah, understand the rivalries. But he I think the passion he has for when he is in a save is insane. Like that level of dedication and whatnot is brilliant.
He's definitely all in on them. I think the earlier ones, so the entire series is on the Dictate the Game website, but the first few I think are more about the different aspects of the game he's been playing, but this one's really selling like the club from top to bottom.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like his rivals, everything like that. He's even trying one of his Wonder Kids to sort of be better than Totti. So I'd love to see how that sort of develops.
It's always nice to see, like, especially because obviously Dynamo Project, which was his previous articles series, was all about him, restoring Dynamo Kiev in Ukraine to like their former glory. And he did, I think it was about 8 or 9 pieces on that, which was really nice to see. It kind of, you could really see the progression that his players were making, and it wasn't like you'd mention a player and then he'd disappear. He'd mention a player and then he'd come back, and you could remember the names and stuff. And it was a bit like, do you remember that? Oh, a very, very long time ago, there was I think it was Johnny Sharples. Do you know who that is? Does that name?
Yeah, the guy, the Celtic guy.
He made a Celtic region into like his own kind of.
Sort of a half meme, but like it was like literally made a character out of a Football Manager region.
Yeah, I think he had a Wikipedia page as well. I'm trying to find his name.
It begins with T, I think.
So he had a full Wikipedia page.
Yeah, Ivica Stork, I think that was it, or something like that. Ivica Stork. Yeah, and it came up massively in loads of Football Manager websites and stuff. It was absolutely fantastic, and things like that is really nice to see. Like people really delve into like the character and the story behind the player, as well as just the kind of, the raw skill in the game, and there's a lot more to it than just being good at the game. Like there's ways to like make the save kind of like your own, or to just put your own spin on things. And I think that's really nice that Ihor's done that, and he's done it really well.
The thing is, as well, as all of his articles sort of like if you read them, he sort of teaches you. There's sort of half guides, and it's like incorporation of everything. So it's like a guide, a story, the history, and everything all into one. And I think to have the skill to be able to do that without making it like choppy is really, really good.
Yeah. Well, he originally used to write on the SI forums, didn't he?
Yeah, that's how I discovered them.
Yeah, and I feel like actually the SI forums are really kind of, there's a lot of really good content on there as well. That a lot of people don't use, like a lot of social media things like Facebook and Twitter and Reddit or whatever. But people use like the original SI forums. I haven't really touched.
I did a while back. I probably, as I was delving into making the Dictate the Game website, it was sort of where I started just looking to see what sort of content is around, and I've sort of found a couple of writers from there, I believe.
And in fact, I've just gone on sigames.com, right? And there's a section on good player and team guides, and there are 665,864 posts.
Just a few then.
Just a couple. And the most recent one I can see is Roma, the most fun club to play with, running with Wolves FM.
Oh, I wonder who's that is.
It's our post. It's our post. It wasn't even posted by us, but it was commented on by someone else, so it brought it back up. But it's, it's all there, and it's absolutely fantastic. And there's loads of like, great comments on there from his, fans over there. Obviously, he's got quite a big following over on the SI forums because he's been doing it there for so long. But it's, great to see everyone's enjoying it.
There's some good stuff on there. You are right.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun. It's such an untouched market, and also the thing I really like about the SI forums is the records section.
Yeah.
There's I'm trying to find it now, but there's a section on it where everyone submits their like best, biggest wins, their highest, most red cards in a season. So you might be able to do that with your hoofball save.
Well, there's a hoofball thread in there
Oh, is there?
Yes,
brilliant.
Before I started writing for DictateTheGame.com, we had a bit of it's in the tactics one, I think, and there's just a small group of people devoted to Who4. So you've got the little kind of you can find whatever you need on that forum. I think there's a place that will accept everyone, even if they want to kick lumps out of people.
Which is what you are doing. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And then the last article this week is my article, and I am currently in the midst of writing this article as we write the podcast. And I've decided I'm going to do it on some. I'm thinking that a lot of people have kind of seen a lot of the hype about FM 2020. And they've gone, I really want to buy this game. And they've maybe picked up FM19 or they're looking at picking up FM20. And they've got absolutely no idea what they're doing. Because, let's be real, it's, as Palin put it a couple of weeks ago, FM is a glorified spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's very hard game to get into. If you sort of went into the game and just opened it, you'd be very overwhelmed. I'd be like, no, thank you. I'll just load up FIFA and go into a game.
Yeah, it's very daunting when you start up. So I'm going to try and target my article on some newer players and just try and give them some tips and tricks, maybe some cheeky ways to keep some players. We were talking, I don't want to tease too much, but there's some quite good ways. If a player's complaining and doesn't want to and wants to leave for a bigger club, there's quite good ways to kind of keep them at bay. And now some people might say, well, that's cheating because he should have left the club. But if you're a new player and maybe you don't want to lose your player because it's quite difficult to lose him, or if you just it's your son or whatever, you don't want to lose the player. So it's quite a good way. If you call it cheating, that's fair enough, but some people might use it and some people will want to use it. And I feel like just having a couple of quick tips and tricks and just ways to kind of, get people involved in the game. Because I think something on Miles Jacobson's Twitter was something like, 60, was it 60 or 600,000 people were still playing the game? Or was it 67% of people who own the game still playing it?
I think 67%.
Yeah, I think it was that.
We played it this month, it was, or something like that.
Yeah, it's people obviously we've got a great fan base for keeping people interested, but I feel like if you want to take there's always, I think you got 2 million, was it 2 million sales this year or something like that?
So yeah, so around that number. It's one of the games where you sort of, it's not like it's not like a campaign where you do a couple of seasons, well, a couple of hours gameplay and then the game's done. It's sort of the game lasts as long as you make it.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic for replayability. It's one of those games. It's not like, well, to be fair, most games these days are pretty good for replayability, but it gets quite repetitive after a while. But I feel like you can make Football Manager feel fresh, with literally just a new team or a new player or everything. So I'm going to do a little bit on that, and then whilst I tell you what, whilst I'm doing that, as my next article, I will do a bit more. I'll try and craze through some Leipzig save. I had a very good old Leipzig save, and I'll try and squeeze through that before FM19 finishes, and then I'll do like a kind of Hall of Fame if you want. So we'll do all of our writers. Obviously, have had some great saves over the year. We've had Mason Bradshaw, we've had Dynamo Project, we've had
Running with Wolves.
Yeah. We've had a Crystal Palace save from Moneyball teams. We've had a lot of famous players that have come through.
We've also got our story, our Dictate the Game Cup, which will be in a few weeks, I believe.
That also hopefully will be coming out soon. And yeah, so what I want to do is I want to put a Hall of Fame of our favorite players from Football Manager 2019. And I want to do each person could have maybe one. In fact, no, we'll do each person has one player, and they have to it can be a regen, it can be a real player, it can be your son for all I care, and it will just be just people talking about what made them play the game this year. Because mine's obviously going to be Timo Werner. That's just not even a question at this point. But I think that'd be quite a nice way to kind of end off Football Manager 2019. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Who do you reckon? Who are your players you're looking at for your favourite players on your saves?
Oh, but yeah, this is a tough one. I've got Nicolas Castro. Mm-hmm. He's a real player. He's very good in my sort of lower leagues. But yeah, I can't even think. There's quite a few really good players. I've got regions, but I can't remember the names because they're all mad names, which is impossible to pronounce. But I'm sure I'll find someone. Oh, I'll tell you what, I've got a guy called Tico. It was sold to AC Milan, and I actually lose sleep every night thinking about how well he's doing.
See, that's kind of the thing I want to put in the article, because not every player, obviously I've kept
Stays
Werner
forever,
for the
yeah.
whole, I've managed to keep Werner, but actually sometimes you don't get to keep him.
You just cry every day.
What about you, Pelham? What about your best players?
Probably got a couple of regens, and I've got a striker. It's called Yannick Janin.
Oh, what a name!
And
That's great.
Scored something like in 6 seasons. He had almost 200 goals or something like that. He was like the record scorer. He got like a massive bicycle kick goal at one point. But I reckon he might be the other striker. It's like a 6'7" monster who can't really run.
You can't run,
No, he just kind of like strolls along. But he scored it's like a 93rd minute winner that got us the title. And he's never scored more than like 10 goals a season. But he did get that one.
So that's, you'll always sort of have your respects for him, no matter what he does.
Tamangara.
Before he makes his transfer to the basketball leagues.
Yeah, he's got a career set up after this. Made for life.
Even if brilliant. But yeah, no, I think that'd be like a nice way to end off Football Manager. And now, before we move on, I would like to talk about FM Central.
Ah, yes.
Because this is quite a new addition to the Dictate the Game team. Ryan, would you like to talk a bit about what's going on over there?
Yeah, I can do. Basically, well before Dictate the Game was set up, there was a group called FM Central, which I used to help run with Paul. There was a website and everything, and that sort of spiraled down really, and the group sort of lost its sort of touch. There wasn't as much content going in there. Not many people were talking or interacting. So we decided we'd try and give it a bit of a facelift and try and get that sort of going again, because with the new game coming up, it's a really good opportunity for like experiencing new players to sort of get involved in a Facebook group and sort of have discussions. People can help each other. Basically going back to what it used to be, because it used to be really, really fun group, and try and get that sort of revitalized really. And it's sort of in association with Dictate the Game. So that'd be quite cool.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fantastic. I mean, I used to use that group all the time. When I was a lot younger, I used to put a lot of my old saves and stories in there. And it was kind of a nice way to kind of talk about your stories without having like a full article and just having like brief snippets and just kind of talking about, what's going on.
Condensed, isn't it? It's all condensed into a couple of sentences. And it's very good to sort of see how people you wouldn't usually interact with all in one sort of space and getting sort of people's ideas. Because I know a lot of people are asking like, oh, what should I do here? I'm new to the game. Has anyone got any suggestions of what teams I can do to learn the game? And I think we sort of, as well as helping ourselves, it's a good way to sort of help the community, because that's how I set the website up. Well, to begin with, was just sort of put my opinion out there, and then it'd be quite nice to sort of go back to the roots of when I started and try and get that group going again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's got 8,000 members. It's a pretty good group, and it's always been a really good, it's never been full of like spam, or it's never been kind of full of very toxic people. It's always been very, wholesome, I feel.
It's going to sound weird, but it's good to have a group that understands. Like if you've got a regen and you want to share it with someone, well, I know my wife doesn't care. If I could drop it in like that, it's amazing. He's just scored and won me the cup, and my wife won't care at all, but
she's like, shut up, keep the noise down. I'm trying to watch.
Screaming, running around the house, being like, "Oh my god!" And,
what's the spreadsheet done to you now? That kind of
thing. Oh dear. But yeah, no, I feel like that. Yeah, FM Central's been fantastic for it'd be hopefully a great way to get people involved again, and anyone new to Football Manager, either 2019 or 2020, or even if you've just not heard of it, if you want to come on Facebook group and join us, then that'd be fantastic. If you really like sharing content and talking about your saves and meeting other like-minded people, then definitely get involved there. Cool. And then the last piece we can talk about today, because we've already done about 25 minutes whatever, but we can do a bit more.
Yeah,
is our favorite Football Manager content creators at the moment, because this time of year is really difficult to produce content. Well, I mean, you guys are probably doing okay, but I'm struggling to kind of find a lot of motivation to play the game, because
sort of everyone's in anticipation for the new game. Really, you sort of just say sort of run out. Your Wonder kids are Wonder dads now; they've retired.
Yeah, exactly. And it'd be great to hopefully, like, when we move on to FM 2020, it's going to be, hopefully fantastic and all this. But actually, who's producing really good content now? So, Ryan, who's on your list for your favorite content producers?
It's not sort of current at the moment, but I know he's getting back into it. Mine would be definitely Lee, also known as Fox in the Box. I've had the pleasure of meeting him actually in the FM Charity Cup. I was invited to play there, which I did. But prior to that, I was a massive fan of his YouTube series, especially his Nike Academy one, where he sort of, I believe, if I remember correctly, he got players who were sort of released by sort of top clubs who didn't really make it. Sort of like a second chance, and he sort of tried to get this team going, but that was very, very good. He also did a crew series as well, which he has a massive influence in using youth players and getting them up through the ranks, because I know crew previously have had very, very good youth academies, good prospects coming through. I just like the way he plays the game. Like, even if he wins, he will always find a fault and try and fix it for next game. And it's how he tells the story and how he pitches it is very, very good. I've watched the streams as well. He used to stream quite a lot. They're very good. And I know he's moving back to mainland England now, and I believe he's doing a lot more with his Football Manager content. He's got a 101 series, I believe it's called, which is just sort of a tips and tricks, sort of step by step for Football Manager, and I believe that'll be coming up for FM20.
That one looks really good.
Yeah. Have you seen the introduction for it?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Swish.
Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah, just one of the sort of wholesome content creators who would, like, even no matter what's going on, he would always have that sort of adrenaline and get you motivated into this team. And I really enjoyed sort of his series and stuff. Very, 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 very good content creator and very, very nice gentleman.
If you do say so yourself.
Yep. What about you, Dom?
My suggestion is going to be Proudy.
Oh,
now Proudy is not your conventional YouTube content producer, should we say? He's not exactly politically correct nor family friendly, but I do like his kind of take on the, not your average Football Manager kind of, take no shit kind of. Sorry, I don't mean to swear, but like, it's not your conventional, because I feel like Football Manager is very much like a kind of, respectable and very, blah, 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 blah. But actually, like, people get really mad at this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People absolutely rage. Like, you hear stories about people breaking laptops and controllers and monitors and all this kind of stuff, but from FIFA game. But Football Manager is even more frustrating because you can't even control it. You can't even go, well, that was my fault because I was bad at the game. That was just your players, your imaginary players running around on a screen on an imaginary football pitch and conceding goals to another imaginary team, and you get so frustrated. It's
when you put it like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird to think of, like, how, I don't even know how to describe it, but it was weird to think about, but it's so rage-inducing, and he really does. Proudy really does do a great job of really highlighting that for me, I guess. A lot of his old stuff with, like, Portsmouth and all of that, and he did an Iron Apple. Well, he said it was an Iron Apple, but it was like, oh no, it wasn't Portsmouth. He did Portsmouth, and then he did Burnley. That was his first series, which was the original, like, brilliant attempting not to get sacked save. And that was fantastic. And he's done some great saves over the past, and they've been quite long-winded, but quite consistent, and he's created a lot of characters through it.
Basically trying not to get sacked. And his sort of main player was Marvin Sordelinho.
Yeah, Sordelinho it was. And he also had Mahrez, didn't he? Riyad Mahrez, before he was, like, a good player. And I think he nicknamed him Maradona or something like that. But it was just, good memes like that. It was very, very good content. And it was all very lighthearted. Like, it was, he lost the game. It was really shit. But, it wasn't the end. Like, he never played specifically to, take over the world and become the world's best Football Manager. It was just kind of him doing almost like a, who's the manager who just takes over clubs and stops them getting relegated and then just leaves and goes back in the Premier League. What's his name? Yeah, someone like him. Yeah, just doesn't really play for, big clubs, but just stops the club getting relegated and just leaves, and then goes to another club. I think it's fantastic, personally. But I think you've met him, haven't you, Ryan?
Yeah, he played in goal in the Charity Cup. Questionable keeping. Very good lad, though. Very, very nice lad. Funny
How did he get?
person.
How did he get on in goal?
Well, if you watch the game, you'll see.
Okay,
That's all I can say.
I'll leave it at that. Okay, that's fair enough. And Pelham, your suggestion?
At the moment, I've been watching a guy called Grey Hair Gaming. He's been doing it for a while. I don't know him.
Is that why he's grey?
Yeah, it's the effect of Football Manager. It's having players like sold from under you and that kind of stuff. It's just driving him mad. But he does quite a few different series. So he's from the US, I think, and he's got a lot of like US soccer series about fixing American football and that kind of stuff. But he's got a lot of journeyman ones. So FM18, he had a really good like sort of Scandinavian Nordic one. So he loaded extra leagues, like even the Faroe Islands, that kind of stuff. He kind of bounced around doing that. But the one he's got at the moment for FM19, I think he's got about 190 videos.
Oh, wow.
It's a building a nation one, so he's trying to make Ireland into a world power. So he starts off with, I think it's Cabinteely.
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Second tier of Ireland, and he's got to the point now where I think he's in the Europa League. He's managing Ireland, but he's still having like the standard Football Manager setbacks. So I think he's had a couple of players sold from under him in the last couple of episodes for like record amounts, but frustrating.
Record amounts in Ireland. How much is that?
I think he got something like 11 million for his last one.
Oh, geez. I remember when Everton sold Seamus Coleman for 60 grand.
Wow.
So that's a bit of a leap.
Yeah, he's improved it. He's definitely built the nation. You can see how he's doing it as well and where he's investing. And I think one of the nice things is as well, a lot of his team's still really Irish. He's not just got like lots of like starlets from South America and that kind of stuff. He's actually, because he's trying to build the nation. Yeah, he's managed to get that. He's got a few experiment series as well. So I think he's got one he's just started looking at the effect of ambition on players.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's quite interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out because a lot of people do that in sort of blog format.
Yeah, he's going to track them. I think he's got all of these like 11 players all signed up to one like agent who's really ambitious as well and likes to tout his players, and all the players are ambitious too. And he's spread them across the different continents. So that'd be an interesting one.
I quite like that. Yeah, that's quite a nice way to do it. I never thought of using the agent, actually. That's quite clever.
Yes, he put a lot of work, and I think he got his wife to put a player in who's got really good potential that he doesn't know about. So one of the 11 is it's like almost like a Russian roulette kind of. One of them's going to be a star no matter what, but he doesn't know which one.
That's quite cool. I like that.
But yeah, he's got. And he's
amazed. Sorry, carry on.
But his series gone forever, so if you start watching it, it's going to go the distance.
Yeah. Well, that's brilliant. No, I was just going to say, I'm just amazed that someone's managed to get their wife involved in the Football Manager. But...
I got my player for me. She wasn't really interested. She just pointed randomly at the screen. But he became my star striker, St. Johnston, for a bit.
St. Johnston, wow, team.
Yeah.
Because the closest my girlfriend's got to getting involved in Football Manager is she just fancies Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Oh wow!
So I signed him and then sold him straight away because I had him for a while, but he wasn't good enough for me. But...
It's a power play.
Yeah, it was
asserting your dominance. So that was...
Yeah. I know he's out on loan actually. I signed him on a transfer because he was transfer listed, and then sent him out on loan for 3 seasons to just rot.
Put him in the reserves, put him on keeper training, find him every week, that kind of thing.
Oh, I'm tempted actually, but no, she likes him too much. I couldn't do that to him. That's me. What about your girlfriend or wife, Ryan? Hey?
Who?
that was my point. So if any singletons are out there looking for love, then please contact Dictate the Game
and Luke will answer.
And Luke will answer. No, he's doing all right. Come on. Right. Well, I mean, do we have anything else we'd like to really discuss? I mean. What else is there to talk about, really?
Not really, but we're sort of all anticipating the Football Manager features and sort of announcements regarding that for FM20 because everyone's sort of on their edge of the seats now, just waiting. Like, is it today? Is it tomorrow? Everyone's just sort of waiting because we've sort of, like we mentioned in the podcast a few weeks ago, there's only been like a sort of like a snippet, but that was just like a social media aspect. There's not been any like underlying gameplay or any sort of feature changes, any new roles, anything different that you can do. So yeah, I think we're all sort of anticipating that, and as soon as that's sort of out, we can sort of really dive into it and just make an assumption and hope for the best.
Do you want to hear a really funny story about my? I was I decided to simulate to the end of my season in Germany because I need a fresh start on a new season because I haven't played in a while. So I simmed to the end of the season, and it turns out I won the league on goal difference.
Wow! On the last day of the season?
Yeah, on the last day. I drew, and Frankfurt won, and I beat one on goal difference. Frankfurt came second.
But what about Bayern?
Bayern came fifth, and Dortmund came third, and Mainz came fourth. So Jadon Sancho left me and went to Bayern, and then they ended up coming fifth. So I'm a very happy bunny.
Just rubbing salt in the wounds there.
I'm gonna sign him back, hopefully.
Oh.
Just because I had him and Yao Felix for like 2 weeks and they were amazing together, but I never managed to really keep them for long enough. So I'm going to try and steal them back, but we'll see. Fingers crossed.
Just got to get them back before FM20 starts. There's no looking back.
Yeah. See, now what's going to happen is I'm going to fall back into this save, and then I'm just not going to want to move on to 2020, which is going to suck. But hey, it's okay. We live and learn. I'm going to do a San Marino save, I think.
Nice.
I think that's my plan. I think I'm going to try and do a club and country San Marino. And I'm
very long-winded.
Well, that's kind of the idea because I don't like I can do something that I'm just going to kind of go through in stints throughout the year and just kind of I'm not really going to, I might play it like solidly for like 2 weeks and then go off for 2 weeks or do something else for 2 weeks but I just want something, and I'm not really going to put it on the website. I think I'm going to put most of it on like the FM Central page and just put like little updates there, here and there when I can, rather than just. Because I just want to do something a bit different.
San Marino's always good. Any club and country saves.
Yeah, the new Andorra one's quite a good one. Because Andorra obviously moved to the Spanish leagues, which gives them a chance to, become a decent club.
Me and Paul were talking about that prior to the podcast about them being in the third tier. That's very, very interesting.
It would be quite good. And also you could do, Guy's doing something with Hungary, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's doing a lower league Hungary, and then he's not starting with the Hungary job, but he's going to take it should he get it. So hopefully he'll do, he'll get that, and that'll be quite nice. But then there's quite a lot of saves on the site with us all doing club of countries, and I'll keep it separate. But yeah, I feel like that's all we got here for the podcast. If you haven't already, check out our website. It's at www.dictatethegame.com. We've got a YouTube channel. You're watching this on the YouTube channel. We've got a Facebook page. We've got a Twitter. We've got, a
group now,
stuff.
yeah.
we've got a group. Come and join FM Central. Why not? Does anyone else want to plug anything else? Do you want to plug FM Tahiti's YouTube channel as well? Because that is a fantastic source of content. I really wanted to say, actually, when we were talking about what content have you watching, like your content is actually fantastic. Like I really enjoy it. It's so there's so much there. Like it's actually fantastic, personally. But
I just do it every year. It's just habit now.
Yeah,
TT1.
I love it. What's your name, Brian?
That is my name. Yeah.
You got anything else you'd like to add to this week's podcast? Any closing thoughts?
No. Does Luke?
Any lifelong lessons for anyone this week? Any inspirational quotes to get them through the week?
Football Manager's coming out soon. Yay!
Just hold on.